Hey everybody, this is Bandor Tyrell, and welcome back to our multi-part series on building a medieval tavern bar for Second Life in Blender and Substance Painter. This is part 4, and this is where we left off. I was playing around in Substance Painter, but we're going to go back into Blender for part 4. So we have the basic front and side of the bar. Now we need a bar top. How are we going to get a bar top? Well, we have this really complicated shape, and I want my bar top to be about the same shape but be a little bit bigger so that it sits on top and covers it. I could go grab a cylinder, I could do everything that we did before and build it from scratch, but if you remember, we saved a copy of the shape over here. So I'm going to use that shape to build the top of the bar. So I'm going to take a copy of it, Shift D, X, and drag it over here. Now this is going to be the top of the bar, and the bar top's not going to be anywhere near that thick, so we can scale this down on the Z axis, scale it down to the thickness we want for our bar top. Let's call that the thickness that we want. Okay. Then let's apply that, transform, and then we're going to set the origin back to there. Then if I go to look at it from the side, I want to bring this GX, I'm going to bring it over here. And then GY, oh, it's not Y, X, Z. Z axis to bring it up to right there at the top. And we can go in and we can see it's not really on the top, so let's go down a little bit. G, Z, right to there. Close enough. So now I have the top of my bar sitting on top of the bar. But if you look, it's 1 pixel thick. It's 1 vertex thick, right? So that's not going to work. So how did we get the boards to be thick? Well, it's the same exact thing. So we're going to click that. We're going to apply a modifier called Solidify. Now for this one, we're going to go much thicker. We are going to pull that out. And if you go too far, your geometry starts to deform, which we don't want, so we don't want to go that far. In fact, let's look at this and see. You'll notice that the corner is rounded there, right? So how far do I want this to go in? The width of this bar to go in. So if I go a little bit more, I lose the rounded corner. If I go back, it extends the round, it makes it a little more curved. Let's go with it about there. And then just left click. And now I have a solid bar. I think this is too thick, so I'm going to scale it on the Z down about there, and then I'm going to drop it. Okay. Now, I don't want it to be flush with the front, so I want it to overhang. So let's move this out. GX, and pull it out about that far. And then, same thing on this side. Let's go GY and pull it out so it overhangs about that much. So now I have, it needs to go a little more. GY. That's too far. Okay, now I have it overhanging a bit all the way around. Except one place. Right there, 2 places. And right there. So how can we get that to go over there? Well, we can go to Edit, Edit Mode, Vertex Mode, and look, we only have vertices on one side. Remember why we only have vertices on one side? It's because we haven't applied our changes yet. So let's get out, let's go back. We're going to go over here and apply our Solidify. I could have done it later. I didn't have to do it now. But there, now we have full geometry. So I want to move these vertices, these 4 vertexes down here, vertices. I want to move them over to the right. I don't want to extrude, because extrude adds geometry. I just want to make this longer. So let's do see through, pick those vertices, and then we're going to G, and this is the x-axis, and we're going to pull that out until it overhangs. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to pull it, and this is the y-axis, and we're going to pull it out until it overhangs. Turn off see-through, and now we have a solid bar top that goes all the way around. How do you like that? Now, it's a little too sharp edges. Real things don't have sharp edges. So we need to, and I don't really like this being showing boards here. I want this to be smooth. So what I could do is I could just click this and do shade smooth. Hey, now it rounded that off, but it also rounded the top. It made the whole thing look like it's rounded off. Well, I don't want that. So how can I stop that? Well, I can go back to shade flat. Then instead, I can bevel this, which will give me it'll round the corners off, right? But what's it going to do? What's it going to do to this? Remember, beveling didn't do anything to these. Remember when we did the bottom part? Beveling didn't do anything with these faces. It only did the outer edges, the sharp edges. So I think it's safe to do that. So let's do Control A, right click, set origin, and then let's apply a bevel modifier. Hey, beveling works, but that's way too beveled. So let's drag our bevel down. 0.2 looks a little small now. So let's try maybe 0.3. Right. Now I still have these kind of flat surfaces here, which isn't going to look as attractive as if this were smoothed out. So what happens now if I do shade smooth? Hey, look at that. It smoothed it, but kept the edges from the beveling. So the top didn't curve anymore with the smoothing, only the things between the beveling did. So that actually looks pretty good. So let's go back to shade flat, just for a second. And then we're going to go in and apply our bevel. Okay, so now if you look at the geometry, the bevel is there. So this is a trick that you learn about using shade smooth. So when you do shade smooth, here I'll show you on I'll pop a cube in just to show you. Let's move our cube over here. So if I were to go shade smooth on that, it's going to turn it into like a ball of some sort. It's hard to see here because it's non-destructive, right? But that's really not what we want. But what you can do is you can go in and you can add loop cuts, and then when it smooths, it will only smooth from the inside of the loop cuts. So that basically tightens your edge, gives you an edge. You can do that all the way around. Sometimes I do this. Now it smooths here. So it's smooth between here and here. It's smooth between here and here. And it's smooth much more flatly between here. So you notice there's not a gradient going left to right here, but there is a gradient going north to south. It's because I didn't do the same thing north and south. So let's do it here. If I do that and I drag it up, do another one, drag it down. Notice this is now flat. It's smoothed here. It's smoothed here at the edges, smooth at the top, smooth at the bottom, but this is flat. And then I could do the same thing on this side. here. Go over here. And you need to do this on all 6 faces, right? So I've done it on, I think I did it on all 6 faces. Now, look at my box. What does my box look like? My box looks exactly the same as if I had taken my box and put a bevel on it. So if I had just taken that, gone over here and added a bevel modifier, and then gone down to pretty tight, like that maybe, and then added a segment, you have almost exactly the same thing, right? So this is shaded flat, this is shaded smooth, but I put those lines in there to create. So if I went back over here and did no, on this one, if I did shade smooth on this one, it'll look exactly the same. See, because it smoothed it out. So oh no, I actually was in edit mode when I did that, so it dorked that over. Can I get back far enough? I don't think it's going to let me go back. That's as far as I can go. So I screwed up my geometry. But anyway, I can just get rid of this. Delete vertices. Delete vertices. Okay, now it's gone. Sorry. Go back over here. Control A. Okay. So now if you go back and look at what I did, that's what happens when you add geometry, like add a cube or something while you're in edit mode, it adds it to the geometry that you're already working on, as opposed to a separate object. So by beveling this and having it smooth, and having it puts these extra lines here, it tightens up the smoothing, is basically what I was trying to say. So it helps you control the appearance. Now, if that still looks too smooth to you, you can actually go in and add more. So I could come in here and put some edge loops. Like in here, I could put an edge loop right here. And I could put another edge loop right here. And that tightens up the top, makes the top even tighter. You notice on the sides look okay to me. I'm gonna leave them like that, but I like what I just did there. I think that makes it look a little tighter. So we'll leave that. All right, so now the top of the bar is kind of done. Actually, no, I don't like it. I don't like the way this looks. So let's go here. I'm gonna put some edge loops in here too. Now this is flat because this was curved and I didn't want it curved. And then, yeah, we're good now. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now, what's left to do on this? I need to UV map it. So we're gonna go again. I do this every time I UV map to avoid problems. Then go up to UV editing, see through, select it all, UV, smart UV project, bang. Again, select it, rotate 90 so that for Substance Painter, move it in, scale it down to get it inside, okay. And then go back to layout. So now I have that. Now, remember I said if you have more than one object and you go to Substance Painter, it names them based on the material's name. And so I had default material was the name that it gave this part because I didn't apply a material. Well, now I have two parts. I have a bar top too. So it's time for us to go in and start putting in names. So let's go down to the materials here and add a material. I'm gonna click new. We're gonna name that bar boards. And then this one, I'm gonna add a material and we're gonna call it bar top. Okay? So now this is done. The top of the bar is done. The main part of the bar is done. You might want to add a sidewall here, but I'm going to leave it like this. So we could have added geometry, basically pull this out and give it like a little wall here, but we're going to keep it this way. We're assuming this is going to go over towards the wall or something. I don't know. We'll just leave it like that because I'm lazy. Then let's go ahead and export both of these now. File, export, collada. Let's call it test. What did I call it last time? Test bar front. Okay, we're going to call it test bar front and top. Let's go back to Substance Painter, and we're going to bring it in here, but I don't have to start over again. What I can do is go and just edit my project configuration. Go edit project configuration, pick the name of the new one, hit OK. It loads the new model in, but we have to rebake our mesh maps. So come back over to texture set settings, click bake. Oh, by the way, before we do that, look up here. You'll see bar boards is there and bar top. And if you hide that one, that goes away. If you hide this one, that goes away. So now you can see that it treats the name of the material like the name of the part. So but you'll notice they don't look right. So that's because we had to bake our mesh maps. So we had to go back and rebake them all. Now there's multiple things we have to do. So the first thing is we're no longer using this. So we had to delete it. We're going to add our new one. Test bar. And you could be asking, why don't you just start a new project? Well, there's other things that I don't have to change. Like I don't have to change the lighting, and I don't have to change the setup. And if I had applied any textures to the bar front, they would still be applied. So when you're working on a complex object, this can become cumulative. So you can start with one part, then you reload it to add more parts, reload it again to add more parts, and you don't lose the work that you've already done. So, okay, so we're going to pick that one. And these are already all set up. Oh, no, they're not, because I have two parts now. So I have to go back to ambient occlusion. I have to do this again, secondary rays. And now, because there's multiple pieces, you need to do apply to all. Then go down to curvature, secondary rays to 256, apply to all. Thickness, secondary rays, apply to all. And then go ahead and hit bake. And I'm going to sing and tap dance while it's doing that. And you'll notice that it takes longer to do every time. And so there's more wasted time as I open up my Dr. Pepper. It's almost done. Yay, it's finished. Okay. I think it's done. Ooh, that's got a really, really high gloss top on her. That's an unusual thing. I'm not sure why it's doing that, and I'm not sure I like it, but we'll leave it. So, okay. I know what we're going to do for the next video. The next video, I'm going to import this into Second Life. Oh, no, we're not. For the next video, we're going to make a floor shadow. And then this will kind of be taking shape. So that's the end of part 4. We'll be back in a few minutes with part 5. Part 5, we will put a floor shadow in and probably take it into Photoshop to fix that, and then take the whole thing into Second Life so you can see it, even though we're not done. Okay? So that is the end of part 4.